had like 4
Call this meeting to order. All rise, please. Huh?
Who are you looking for?
The
Monty?
morning.
He's right there.
Oh, there you are. You're hiding behind him.
Let us pray together. You want an invocation? Yes, please. Loving God, you are always present among us. Open our eyes to the reality of it. Let us see you. Let there be good action taken, justice, truth, mercy, and good work. We pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of November 27th, January 2nd, and January 4th. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
We moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
On the adoption of the agenda, I'd like to have a change in the agenda of considering the adoption of the bear ordinance and the selling of the surplus lots to be removed from today's session and for further study and to be put back on at a later date. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda removing items 8 and 10.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now I'd like to have
Which, that's
an adoption of the full agenda.
bear ordinance.
Have a motion for the full agenda, considering 8 and 10 being removed.
I so move.
Moved, second,
Second.
all in favor? Mayor's remarks. First off, due to this weather, I want to thank everybody for getting out and coming here. We could have had better days, but we'll get those later on, I'm sure. We've still working on our tree trimming to clean up the streets. We should have, for another week, should be cleaned up on the major stuff, and then we'll be coming all the way around again to pick up stuff that's been added since we went by your location. So it'll be a couple of weeks anyway before we get it all settled. I'd like to have the council's remarks. We'll start with you, Neil, please.
I have, just welcome everybody here and thank you for coming. On the surprise little snow we had, and then sleet and then rain, cold, and I'm ready to have spring. How about you? Anyway, we're glad you're here, and I have nothing further to add.
Al?
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the effort that everyone made to get here this morning, and I am grateful for the attendance at the work sessions and the previous council meetings that we've had. The attendance has been real good. And I also appreciate the suggestions and critiques that the community is making relative to the council and the city's operation. So, thank you.
Jim?
Good morning, thank you all for coming. I'm glad you care about what goes on here and in our city. Recently, much has been said about how citizen input should be made to the council, about how workshops are for the council to discuss informally rather than an opportunity for citizens to provide input, and about specific procedures for citizens to speak at the end of a council meeting, and how a moderator may or may not include citizen comment after the council discusses an agenda item. I think we all understand why the rules are set up this way. I hope we also understand that Sky Valley is not like other cities. Our citizens tend to be constructive, well-spoken, and bring perspective and experience that can be helpful in deliberations. Accordingly, I believe we should use whatever leeway that we have to err on the side of public participation. It takes a certain courage to stand up in public and speak. So the folks that have something that they feel is important to say should be encouraged to share their thoughts. Public participation is one way that we develop a community consensus on the issues before us. Everyone sitting up here at this table was elected to be the designated representatives to handle the city's business. But ultimately, it's you, the people, who get to judge at the ballot box just how well we have done our jobs, including the process of facilitating citizen input. So, thank you for coming this morning, and I welcome your contributions.
Paul?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for the emails and phone calls. It's very helpful to get input from the taxpayers here, and you know, I always want to represent what the majority of the folks want and directions they're wanting to go. I would also think, as Al said, great participation and attendance in our workshop, especially last week, and thanks everybody for coming to the meeting today. Thank you.
Ella?
Here is a updated report from our building inspector. We've had a slow start to the year. Just want to reiterate that we do have 2 homes that are under construction, some new homes, and we'll keep you up to date on that process. I welcome you to ride around in the community and check out where these 2 homes are located. I think you'll be surprised at the impact that will make on our community, just having 2 new homes that are being built. And I encourage you that if you have questions, to please call, email me, and I'll be glad to help you and assist you in any way I can.
All right, on the fire department request, we considered this at the workshop, and we talked about it, and we had I'd like to have a motion to consider the request for the fire department for the additional funds of $500,000 to be added to it, so that we'll be paying $1.5 million for our fire protection.
I make a motion that we accept the fire department request for additional funds in the annual agreement.
I'll second that.
Been moved and second. Have any discussions?
I'll be recusing myself from this vote due to conflict of interest.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No. Motion's been carried. On the codification, we wondered on the ordinance to upgrade our ordinances in a manner in which we can open our book and look at it and know that whatever we're reading is the ordinance for the city of Sky Valley, where now we have to go through, go to another chapter, to another, and they're all called, it's all in several different pages. And Ella, I'd like to have you comment on this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had gone through this and actually had sent out some additional smaller cities that have utilized this as well as requested by some of the councilors here. And I think this is something that would benefit not just the city staff, but also our citizens, because you can actually go in and access stuff directly online. There's no question about, you know, you can go in and do like a word search, say like if you're hunting something for animals, it will show you each notation where it is noted in the ordinance. And it really benefits not, like I said, not just the staff, but citizens as well. And it just, I think it's something that we really should take into consideration. I also have included where we can pay for this from as far as a budget amendment. We will have to do a budget resolution for this. And I have one thing, I had met with Jim on Friday, and I had asked our auditors if we could pay for it. We have some excess funds in our municipal court account, and she is getting back with me on that. She's gonna do some research and determine if we can. If we can, we will not need to do a budget amendment because we can pay it directly from that. So that's why I have included the contingency items in your budget, in your packet, but I'm not doing a budget resolution until she tells me yay or no which way we can go with this. So, but I would recommend that council approve this so we can get this going, because it is gonna take at least a minimum of 9 months, maybe longer, to get this done.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal by Muni Code.
I second it.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All
None?
of, good.
Thank you. Just so that everybody's clear, pulling together ordinances that were enacted at different times in different places, putting the right things together involves a little bit of editorial discretion on the part of the folks that are doing it. I think they're capable of doing that, but it does require us to be involved in an oversight sort of manner to make sure that we agree with the way that they have consolidated things. And that's my only comment. And I'm hoping that Doug will take a lot of this, but I think the council's involved as well.
Neil?
Ella, I know this will be helpful
Right.
to the city and to the staff. And I know you have some experience with it.
Yes, sir.
We don't. We take your input, we don't take it lightly.
Yes, sir.
But I do want to say that this is not a one-time expenditure.
No, sir, I understand that. There are
It's not a
additional costs.
one-time expenditure.
There are
and-
annual,
And there was really no cost analysis done. And I believe, in the future, I'm not gonna stand in the way of this, is what I'm gonna say today, because I think it's gonna pass anyway. But this is not the way we should bring forward something that's not a single cost item, that has annual things that should be considered in a budget and should have a cost analysis. yes, you gave us a list of cities that use this. And if I were in my normal health state, I might have called a few of them and asked, what is your annual cost? And I think that's something that should have been done. What is your annual cost? Are you happy? Whatever. I just couldn't do it in this past week.
Yes, sir. I'm very familiar. In fact, the proposal actually includes a minimum of about $500 for an annual cost. But also too, if you'll notice on page 4, it talks about the payment for the project. And it says base cost split into 4 payments, and it says your project can be budgeted over 2 fiscal years. And as you said, there is an execution of agreement. There is an amount for that. The submission for the legal memorandum, and also once the submission of the draft code is submitted, it will be submitted to me, and I will submit it to our attorney and to you all as well to review it, and make sure that we're where we need to be with this. Like I stated previously, the company that does this, they have 12 plus attorneys on staff, and this is what they specialize in. This is all they do for MuniCode. And I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's gonna not just benefit, like I said, not just us, but the citizens as well.
Well, I don't disagree with what
And
you
also,
said about that.
like I said, I do have quite a bit of experience with this. I worked with this company for 20 plus years, working with them. You submit, and the way it works is at the end of your actual physical year, you submit your information to them. It normally takes them 3 to 4 months to get your updates made. But in the meantime, they also offer a service that if we do a change in the ordinance, we can actually go in, submit it to them, and it's called, I think it's called Updates Now or something like that. It actually goes into each particular ordinance and it updates it online, even though it's not officially updated in our code book, it is online, and that's where you'll go to. More and more people won't use a book once you get them. You are required by law to maintain one main copy in your office, but most people actually do a desktop, set it up online, and you just automatically refer to it. It's the way it works.
Well, also there's several pages in here that have check marks. None of it's checked. Okay, so is that all going to be checked after the fact?
Once it's approved, he will submit me a formal agreement, and then at that time, that's when it will all be, but the pricing is going to be the same. There are no differences in the pricing, because there's other things, like for instance, when they do the book, they charge you for each initial book. We're only going to need maybe 2 copies of the original book that we have to maintain. Therefore, when supplements and annual updates are done, you only have to pay for the 2 that are done.
There's no restriction on making copies?
No, sir. There is nothing. You can actually go online and print it out online. Say like if there's a particular section you want to go in, say like 26, you want to go to 26, section 26, you go to it, you print out. If you don't want to print out all the sections, you have one section you can actually go in and just print out that particular section. That you, as the legal guardian for that particular code, you have access to do anything online. You can send links to it. If someone calls and you need to make a reference to it, you can send them a link directly to it.
With your, it seems like vast experience with this, though, could you not offer what you think the annual maintenance cost is?
Yes, sir, I
for
did
a
say-
city our size?
I would say not to exceed $500, if that much. Because where I came from, because you have 2 different ones. You have the one that it actually is with the update, for the annual updates, which they don't cost as much as they do according to your ordinances or changes that you have. But you also have your supplement cost. And you have your online, once you do the online updates, that's included. It may be another $100 on top of that, but no more. I would say totally for our city, no more than $500 per year annual.
Ella,
Yes, sir.
was the instant update feature part of the basic subscription, or was that an extra?
That is an extra. Normally it's $20 to $30 for each update that you do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to ask our attorney, do you have any experience with this?
Yes,
With the other cities or anything?
I have. And I think we've discussed it at previous meetings. It definitely helps in looking things up, because as I've said before, the ordinances that y'all have are confusing and oftentimes contradictory in certain
I
parts.
know it was contradictory in a couple.
And so codifying it would definitely help, you know. You can go online and I think you could get a good idea of what those will do for us by looking at other codes that other cities have. And in fact, as an attorney, when I draft a lot of ordinances, that's the first place I start, is to
Right.
see what other cities have done. And so take a look at it. It's expensive, but you will get your money's worth out of it. It'll greatly help, you know, the city, you know, codify the whole ordinance.
I think the initial cost, the 10K or whatever, for what situation we're in and what I've looked at, and what we get, I'm not questioning that at all. I'm just questioning it's a nickel and dime type thing, that they get you later on.
No, sir, they don't. They're very forthcoming, because what happens is that when you submit your supplements, according to how many changes you have, that's what your supplement is based on. And you can have, like I used to get like 20 copies of the supplement. Here I'm only gonna need, they do it, I think, in increments of 5. So we'll be good to go with our 5 if we have that many books. Initially, like I said, we won't need that many because everything is gonna be online. There's no need to keep the hard copies when you can access it online.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you for
Do you have any other
enlightening
questions
me
on
a
this?
little bit more than
I just have a question for Doug, perhaps. I heard someone say they thought this seemed a little expensive. Could you do it for less, and then Ella could maintain it on the computer?
Well, no. Actually,
Thank you.
what you're paying for is, you're paying for an attorney to not only codify what you already have, but also checking it against existing case law to see whether it's good, and the state constitution and things like that. There's a lot of work involved in it.
Okay. Well, we still recognize our ordinances when we get them back.
You will recognize it. I imagine they will probably give you an analysis of things that you may be missing or things that may be conflicting. And I know I could give you some things that are
That's
conflicting and perhaps missing, but, which it may be useful then, because then you can say, here's some areas of law that we aren't covering or aren't covering well enough, or it's old law, and then you can address those needs. So that's one thing you're paying for too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, I'd like to call for a motion.
Here's the motion and the second.
Add the motion and some second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Water meters, upgrades. We've run to the people that weren't at the workshop, and we have a problem with our water meters. We have about 220 that are defective. We have a total of about 550 altogether. We can just get the ones that are defective repaired now under the contract, or under the, and guaranteed on the meter part, I should say. But, as we all know, that once we get defective parts, if we don't take care of it all, it's going to keep coming back and biting us. And then for every one that we don't fix, it's going to cost us more than what we have now. We have a guarantee on cost for about 550 meters. It is my recommendation to the council that we take and get them and change them all. Because it is a problem that's gonna haunt us if we don't. So, I would like to have a motion from the council to replace all our defective parts in our water meters.
I'll make a motion that we accept option number 3, replacing the water meter registers and upgrading the software.
Do I have a second?
I
And
second.
adding to our warranty.
Correct
It's about to expire, only has, what, 2 years left?
It actually expires next year. yes.
Next year, and with the offer that they made us, they'll extend the warranty for another 10 years, which I think is one of the best parts of that whole lot for the city. So,
We have a motion, moved and second. Any further discussion?
A question. Paul,
Yes.
does that third option also include replacing the defective meters that have not failed yet? That last line item on the bottom?
Right, we're replacing the registers.
That's what I mean, the registers. That's what I'm
It
saying.
does,
Sorry.
yes.
Okay.
It replaces all of them.
Okay, so that's the expensive option, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
And moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, we have a real toughie here. We have to consider the appointment of our new city clerk, Karen Fleming. I know it'd be a lot of discussion, but I'd just like to have a motion so we can get out early. I have a motion to accept her.
I'd like to make that motion. I've known Karen for many, many years. She worked at Timeshare office, and I was on the board of that particular timeshare for about 3 years, and I couldn't be happier to recommend anybody else.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Moved and second. Any more discussion on it? If not, I'd like to have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Welcome to the city of Scotland.
All right, other business. We're going to open it up now to public forum and then general comments, if we have any from the audience.
The order of your high. Good morning. My name is Gordon Brand. I'm the president of the Forest Hills Condo Association. Again, I thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank you for your service, being in public service. I know there's a lot of issues, good and bad. The reason I'm here is we recently, the Forest Hills Condo Association had a 92% increase in garbage feed rates. And obviously that's a great hit. And so follow up on January the 12th, I sent each of the councilmen and the mayor a response trying to figure out what was the reason for this. And I'm disappointed to say at this point I've had no response from any of you, with the exception of Jim Curtis. Jim said it'd probably be a good idea to attend one of these meetings, and that's where I'm here. And so essentially, since since the time I sent this email to you guys, I've spoken to other condo associations, and none of them were aware of this increase. Now, whatever the reasons are, they weren't. And obviously, when they get back, there's a little bit of firepower going on here, why the increase. And so essentially what I'm here for today is trying to get some answers. I got a report back. And what I'm looking for, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking for essentially the communications, a lot of things go back and forth. And so I'm looking for how was this communicated and essentially documented, which I asked for. How is it documented so that we can get involved? Because many of us are part-time people, are non-voters, and myself live in Dawsonville. I try to be involved a little bit, but how can the city communicate? Maybe you are communicating, but anyway, we didn't get any communication on it, at least everyone we talked to. And the second purpose here is, how did you go about justifying this increase? Yeah, I know you talked about it, and we'd like to know, was there cost evaluation? Was your cost going up? We're reasonable people, we understand things like that. How did you go about deciding that we should increase our rates? Yes, and the numbers went in, we sit down with someone so I can explain to them, yes, our cost of garbage service went up so many dollars, and therefore we had to pass those costs on. So I want to sit down sometime with someone and go over this, and so that I can better explain it to our condo owners. Yes.
We'll let our city
Yes.
manager.
I'd be glad to sit down and go over it with you. It was discussed in budget workshops that we had in budget meetings. We had an increase, we had 172 customers that were still only paying $12.
Right.
You all were one of those.
Right.
And what happened was, going back and looking at the ordinance, everybody else was paying 23 and y'all were only paying the 12. Therefore, what we did, we brought everybody up to the same rate. And it was done due to the cost of maintaining the garbage cans, the garbage service, equipment. We've had some really, huge increases in as far as maintenance of our equipment. And that was one reason that it was increased. But I'll be glad to sit down
And
and
you
go
go,
over.
yeah. Because our service, we have one dumpster. And the reason why was it 12? Initially, because we had less service, less cost. We'll generate less garbage and less billing, one billing versus, we have 10 units, so there's a lot that goes into it. So yes, we can sit down and do it.
Sure.
And the other is the communications. There seems to be a general area. How can the city better communicate? Are we using the updated channels? Because I'd love to go to these meetings, especially if it involves costs. My costs are going up. Like this example of water, we budget our forest sales in June the 1st. So I've got 6 months. Our budget goes from July to June. So we are now stuck with this increase, and we don't have money pulling out of the hat. So we want to get involved. So early on, I think in this communication, everyone said, how can the city better for non-voting residents get involved? Maybe early on. A lot of them aren't here. I can attend because I live in Dawson County, but how can we better maybe communicate so they're involved?
Well, we actually have two different avenues that you can do that on. You can go through our website. There is a sign-up email that we send you out notification of all meetings. And the agendas go out to everyone so they know what's on the agenda. Anytime we have any type workshop, it is also posted on there as well. We send out an email, plus it is posted on the website.
So this specific, in terms of the price increase, this was proposed increase in it, that was all
in a budget
communicated.
Yes, sir.
Pardon me?
It was in a budget workshop. Yes, sir.
In a budget workshop, and most people, we'd love to be part of that budget workshop. So obviously what do you suggest? A lot of people aren't aware, they're not aware of it.
Yes, sir. And what we can do is, I would say, we could actually send out some more notifications as far as budget workshops. But my recommendation, if you'll sign up for the emails, it automatically sends it to you every time we send out something that we'll have, that is going on in the city. It sends you an email out, and that would keep you up to date when we have these meetings. And, if someone could, attend, whatever. But, we actually do post as much as we can to get it out to the public. We have have limited resources to be able to do, you know, what larger cities do. But we'll, you know, be glad to work with you any way we can to, you know, to rectify this for you, you know, but that it was discussed numerous times in a budget workshop. So that's why, you know, it was increased. We did the proposal, like I said, I
Okay,
had.
well, we'll sit down, yeah, great.
We
I'd love
had,
to
I
do-
mean, you were not the only one affected, I had 172 that were affected.
Yeah, I understand. But you just don't go at it, yeah, I understand, if I understand the cost items behind it, and we go into it, but just say arbitrarily, you know, to say one was up, originally it was a lower rate, and now it's gone up, and it was a reason it was a lower rate, because there was less cost involved. Those are the things we don't understand.
Yes, sir.
And I understand having everyone equal, but why was it less before?
Well, actually in rates, you can't justify not charging someone just because they're not here as much, because a
We're
lot
not
of
saying
our,
that, we're
well,
not saying that.
well, a lot of our homeowners are part-time
Sure.
here. You know, so they're getting the same services that you are getting as well. So we can't justify not charging, you know, you the same as everyone else is
I
being
don't say,
charged.
I don't say that's the case, I understand a lot of part-time, but it's the cost of the initial individual owner versus us, yeah. That's the numbers we
And
want.
all the other condo associations were paying the other fees, quite a
And
few
they all
of
are very
them.
concerned, so
Mhm.
you'll hear more from them, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But, okay, thank you, and I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Mr. Mayor, on the same subject. Bob? Bob?
No, I was asking for
Can I
permission to come
respond
talk.
to Gordon for a second?
Well,
It'll be
we got
brief.
3 minutes.
Okay, I won't need 3 minutes.
Okay.
Gordon, I think you ought to be aware of the bear ordinance. It deals a lot with trash. I know you provide your own containers. There are provisions in the bear ordinance that would potentially require upgraded containers for condominiums and group collection. So I would just point that out to you as something you'd be interested in keeping track of. Thank you.
Any other?
I got you, may I make a comment? Mr. Mayor?
You've got 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, if I run over, slap me. Going, I got your email, I apologize that I didn't respond directly to you. I did mention it to the mayor, and he said you had been referred to the city manager. And I dropped it because that is the source of information going actually out. And I respect that. But I did mention at the time, I wasn't able to be at that workshop because that's when I was having my operation and recovering from back surgery. And I do notice in the bear ordinance that we didn't discuss today, that all of a sudden, you know, every organization, timeshares and all, are responsible for any of their people to abide by the ordinance. And this is a similar situation. When they're voted, especially large increases, I know I would like to have some advance notice and some time frame for implementation of any major cost change to our citizens. You know, 3 months, 6 months, some, and where a notification goes out in advance before they get a bill and open it, and I don't think anybody would appreciate receiving a bill, and that's what you did, just boom, without any advance notification. And I think we need to be careful as a city in when we increased fees, that we take into consideration how those are implemented in a way that the citizenry of our city gets some advance notice, and organizations do as well. And that when we look at the bear ordinance further, I want that
Time's
declare
up.
address.
Time's up.
Well, I was just
Motion to
finished,
adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, and if I had had anything else to say, I would assume that you let me
We're not
finish the
referring to
sentence.
the Bear ordinance or any part of that. So,
What?
but I appreciate your comments to it, and thank you very much, and I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion